Mic should be hot. 3, 2, there we go. Cool. First off, give it up for Jonathan again. So the good part about getting these opportunities is, yes, you get to be talented, get on stage, and like, look at me, I'm important, and you should hear what I have to say, but you also get the chance to hear and take part in this experience. So thank you to the Harlem Business Alliance for giving me this opportunity, but also just another shout out to the work that Blavity's doing, because I actually didn't know where the portmanteau came from, and I'm like, okay, Black Gravity, and immediately I got it, and I was like, okay, well, geez, this is what I feel right now. And you know, for those of you that are running tech businesses, whether you got relationships in Silicon Valley or even what we're doing here in New York City, you realize these moments are few and far between. Where you get to talk about innovation and do it with people that are like you, that share that same experience. So I'm here to talk about just the humanity behind tech and innovation, and more of that than I could possibly put into you with slides. So no slides, just me, you and me having a conversation. Because I think another part of that Black Gravity is this feeling that no matter where you are, when you're with your people, it's like home. Or maybe even just like church. So this is me getting 10 minutes to testify, right? So, you know, we're here to talk about innovation and the things that I do, and I'll do that, and then I want to make sure that we can come back and talk about another thing that's near and dear to me in my own Black experience. So I run a company called Startup Institute, and we're a program that takes individuals that want to make a positive change in their career across the innovation economy. So whether it's web development, design, marketing, or sales, there's room and roles for everyone to play roles. And I think that that's very important to understand, because while the narrative around technical literacy and learning how to code is very important, in every organization there's builders, there's sellers, right? Like there's so many different pillars where you can be the best at what you need to do. So if you had your chance at Code Academy, or your chance looking at the YouTube videos or Googling how to do this thing in software, and you're just like, this isn't for me, don't let that block you from finding your opportunity to lead the future of technology, right? Like in fact, if you look at a lot of the tech CEOs, believe it or not, no matter how good Mark Zuckerberg's PHP skills used to be, he's a salesman now, right? So I just mean that to make sure that I can articulate the spectrum for you. So what we do is we run a competitive program where individuals apply, they'll go through a experience that's immersive and gives them the opportunity to gain the network skills and mindset to work in this tech industry. How we do that is through this collaborative education model, where the same people that are thirsting for folks to help them build their future, they're also giving them the skills to be adequate for it. And I think for all of my young people that are just getting out of university, you've got to feel this pain. You're like, oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate your like Easter suit and your nice resume on this flimsy Kinko's paper, but we just can't hire you because you don't have experience. Like, all right, that's cool. Where do I get the experience? Oh, from you. And you end up in this circle, and it's also just as painful for companies that are looking to continue to grow and scale with good people, because they look around and it looks like a desert. And that was what we saw specifically just one step back before we started Startup Institute. I used to work at a tech accelerator called Techstars. So if you know anything about Techstars, it's one of the largest, most well-known, like world-class startup accelerators in the world. They give investment money, mentorship, and a path of learning and growth to help companies get from that scale-up phase from anywhere from their Series A, Series C side of traction, and continue to be the next Facebook or SendGrid or GrabCAD or whatever company you may know of. The problem is we're really good at it. And every time, if you're a type A person and you're trying to be better and better, you tend to find problems. And you tend to look around and say, okay, well, what's going on with the access here? How can we continue to be better? What problems are there to solve? So you spend enough time talking to the companies and they'll tell you, yeah, I really love the mentorship. The money was good. raising more money is always going to be crazy, so I don't know if you can help me with that. But once we do close our rounds, it's always hard to find good people. I can't find like good salespeople, let alone the Microsoft kind of rigmarole of like developers. There's so many roles where just finding someone that had the skills, both from a technical capacity, but especially from an emotional intelligence capacity, they make a lot of impact in my company. And I want to take a quick break to like drill in on what that last piece means, because far too often we'll end up thinking that we're going to find our next job in a book, or we're going to find our next job by like gaining a new skill. If I knew SEO, my life would change. If someone would teach me Google Analytics, I could be a millionaire. But a lot of times, just the humanity around who you are and what you bring to an organization means the most, right? How many of you have been able to solve conflict with that friend at work or that colleague and coworker? Instead, you go home to your husband like, that girl, I don't know what she's talking about. She's trying to destroy me and my career, right? There's ways around that. If you dig into how conflict and communication happen inside companies, how process doesn't need to be the only tracks towards getting things done. And it's especially important at a startup because there is no bureaucracy, there is no HR, there is no path to say, well, what does my manager need me to do before I get out of here at 4:45, right? So finding those people is so special, but they're everywhere. They're in these seats now. It just takes an investment in time to deliver that. So over the years, since 2012, we've been able to do that and connect with people in a very human way, giving them the skills and the opportunity to look at some of the fastest growing, world-changing companies and say, I belong in that chair. And how we ended up doing that led us to a path where, we are where we are today. Today I'm wearing a Boston shirt, I'm here in New York. We're in a number of locations. We've raised millions of dollars of venture capital. We've graduated nearly 1,000 individuals and helped hundreds of companies grow their teams. So we've been really successful at doing that, but it's only been because of that fixation on just the human element. And I know standing on stage, I'm like, yeah, we're super successful and this is exactly how it happened. And I want to make sure that I'm clear about that and that path to entrepreneurship, because I think far too often you see people on a stage and they say, you know what, I looked up in the stars and the stars said, you know what, you really need to start Tinder. And you say, okay, well let me make Tinder, and then Tinder ends up becoming a hit and that's just it. But where are you? Where does that leave you if you don't have that idea, if you don't have that complete straight line to success? What if you're in a struggle now? What do you do? So for me, that wasn't really the full truth of where I was. So I guess quick show of hands, how many of you had jobs that you didn't like? Yeah, right. So I had one where I felt bad for not liking it. So for a number of years, I was a management consultant. I got to wear a suit. I was tying the Ainsley spread collar, had the Windsor, cufflinks on fleek. I had the condo. I miss my condo to this day. It's 2-bed, 2-bath, granite countertops, right? Stainless steel appliances. There were sconces in the hallway. But Corey and I were just having a conversation about real estate in New York, so that's a soft spot for me. But as you're doing this, you realize that not everything that's good is good for you. And as I was working and getting the checks and having the expense reports and doing the travel, you just realize that it's not why I'm here. And what I'm here to do, after going to college and being probably the weirdest person in academic history, right? I double majored in computer science and sociology while taking up a double minor in the arts and theology. And I also was a Division I football player. And the summers I was training and during the day, but I sold beer at an NFL stadium. I bounced at some bougie bar, and and I worked for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, trying to get me one of them good government jobs that everybody in Prince George's County tells you need. I told you this is like church. But as it went on, I just didn't know where I should be. And I looked and I saw more education, and I thought, I need to go get a master's degree. And it still didn't give me anything but about, $5, $15K in bump in salary, which is good if that's what you're going for, but if you can do ratios, you know that spending $100,000 to get 15 is going to take you a while to make that up. So, you know, I tried to find a way to quit. And I said, well, if I quit, what can I be? Who will take me, right? How can I have a gap in my resume? Where should I even belong? Is there a spot where you can create change? And it just so happens that it is this startup world where it's okay to be nothing because people are looking at your future and say, that person's gonna be something, and what they're gonna build can matter, and I can get behind those ideas and live and dream their dreams and hopefully support them through sweat equity or my capital, or even just like the money that I can give you out of my pocket and being a consumer and providing feedback on how you should iterate. So finding the opportunity to do that still wasn't easy. Because the moment that I said, you know what, startups are for me. I'm on TechCrunch, I'm looking at it, like I'm burning my suits, I'm getting hoodies, I'm a hoodie guy now. The next thing that happens is you put yourself out there and you get rejected. And I'm like, damn, how does that happen, right? Like I got the Georgetown thing, got the leadership, I hit people hard on the field, I got grades, computer science degree. But again, the humanity just wasn't connecting in the room. You know, you go in and you smell like a suit. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. You know, you come in and you say, well, I spent a lot of my career doing strategy and this management consultancy, so, you know, I'm CEO of a 7-person company. Perhaps you ought to let me run strategy. And they're like, get out. You like basically just hit me with the like Jazzy Jeff. That's a Fresh Prince reference. Okay. That's gonna be relevant if you're not with your black pop culture. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. So, you know, that became just kind of like my just mode every day. Just like how many times can I get rejected? How many times can I put myself out there? And it wasn't that I was a glutton for punishment, and yes, it may have been kind of like this Sisyphean attempt to say, I'm just gonna keep rolling this rock up the hill, up the hill, up the hill. But what I wanted to do was fail smarter and hope that there would be people with the empathy and the humanity and the kindness in the room to say, you're a jerk, I wouldn't hire you. I don't like the fact that you thought your best role in the company is telling me how to run my company. You aren't really fit to do this thing because you let your computer science degree atrophy and you only know about tech strategy now. I really need somebody to crank out code, right? Like, I noticed that you seem to be too big or too important to help me clean up the room as I'm trying to get the conference room ready, which basically where all my developers were working, but now it's an interview room because we're on a shoestring. But you're like, well, I'll let you pick up the trash and get back to the interview when you're ready, right? Like, so there's so many of those things that I had to learn before I like humbled myself, crafted myself, and redefined who I was in order to get the opportunity that was ultimately meant for me. So I just say that as like the other kind of VH1 behind the scenes to, okay, here's Startup Institute, it's a great thing, we've helped a lot of people, we've done great. It still puts you directly into the struggle every day, and it's only because of the struggle that you can get there. And if you can embrace that and the humanity behind what running an organization, what being in that struggle means, and how to actually connect with people so that you can swap value for dollars, then you know, you can really understand how to be disruptive, how to be innovative, and all the things that seem, you know, polysyllabic and like you have to like Google what the words mean and oh, well, if I knew what that piece of technology meant, it's not tech, right? Like it's us, it's human, it's in our nature to be innovative. And you know, I could go on to like another 10 minutes on like why as innovators, these black people in the room know a lot about that and how to make things work out of nothing. But I told you we were going to do a little bit of pop culture. So I always try to like keep it as kind of broad or diverse as possible. So if my story didn't resonate with you, if what Startup Institute is doing in the world isn't that exciting, you know, I've got a cinematic experience that you all should go and visit and revisit if you haven't already, because I believe it teaches you a lot about entrepreneurship if you can see the message behind the quote. So this cinematic piece is won by the great Eddie Murphy. It's called Coming to America. All right, so you see, we got a little misunderstanding me and McDonald's. They got the golden arches, we got the golden arcs. They had a Big Mac, we got the Big Mac. Their burger has 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. My buns have no seeds. So I make use of that quote because a lot of times so many people are stalemated by this idea that they need to find something new under the sun before they have an idea that's worthy enough to be pursued. Everything's a remix, right? Like you look at what Facebook is today, that was MySpace, that was, depending on how black or how brown this crowd is, that was Black Planet and Mi Gente, right? So, you can find those ideas and just start executing. So this one I can't actually do a word for word quote, so if anybody gets the outtake. So the guy's in the diner and he says, hey, well, I'll have the soup. The waiter comes, he brings the soup out, and then the guy doesn't even take a sip of the soup. He's just there, sitting there. The waiter looks, he says, man, this guy's not eating the soup. I should go over there and say, hey, sir, something wrong with the soup? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? He says, oh, well, just taste the soup is what the patron replies. He said, well, you tell me, is it too spicy? Is it not to your liking? What can I do? He says, oh, well, just taste the soup is what the patron responds. He says, all right, well, yeah, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha! So for that one, right, there's a lot of times where, and whether it's those of you that went to business school and say, you need a business plan. You need to write 80 pages of what the world's going to look like before you even step in it. Business plans have their place-ish, right? But learning, right, on the fly, iteratively, especially if you want to open up a restaurant, build that business plan. You're going to have to take that to the bank along with some financials, right? But if you're actually trying to build something and say, who can I point to that's done this before? Me, that's Scarface. But you can, I'm having too much fun up here. But you can point to the market and get the truest read on what you should be doing next. And only from taking those iterative steps and say, hey, I made a mistake, let's peel back, let's tweak this, let's keep going, will you find it? So if you look at that bowl of soup and expect to say exactly what it needs or why it's not right, you really need to taste the soup. And then lastly, hi, I started out mopping floors just like you guys, but now I wash the lettuce. Soon I'll be on the fries and later the grill. And in a year or two, I'll make assistant manager, and that's where the big bucks start rolling in. This ain't gonna happen tomorrow, right? This is a journey. And if you can learn to sweep the floors and do the work and sweat and be joyful in that effort, soon, maybe not soon, but someday, maybe not someday, but one day, it'll happen. But you need to find ways to continue to be in the tradition of effective effort every day, right? If you can spare a weekend, that's fine, if that's all you can do, but make sure it's every weekend. If that's how you're gonna start your day, make sure it's every day. Find the habits that will then start to blend into your culture of excellence and success. Because if you do it habitually, this is a hobby. And hobbies rarely make people a ton of money. So anyway, that's all I have. Hope this was inspiring. Just let your soul flow.